Hey, it's me, that orange you're about to peel. I know that part of you is nervous that once you do all the work to peel me, I'm not going to taste good. And there's no scientific evidence to prove that I'll taste better if you do this, but it can't hurt if while you're peeling me, you listen to an episode of this podcast. Before we continue my first ever journey through the Harry Potter series, just a few quick announcements. First, if you missed the announcement last week, Multitude is doing a live show on July 30th. We're going to do some familiar stuff. We're going to do some new stuff. I'm very excited about it. You can watch it live. You can watch a replay. If the time zone doesn't work for you, it's July 30th at 8 p.m. and 25% of the ticket sales are going to Black Lives Matter charities. If you want to learn more about it and get some tickets, you can go to multitude.productions/digital live. Also, there are exciting things happening with the other two podcasts that I work on. Horse, we just brought on a new co-host, Adam Mamawala. He's someone that I knew back from when I was just a preteen in New Jersey, and now we're going to be talking about basketball together. I'm very excited about it. He was great in his first episode. We have another one coming out next week. I'm very excited about him being on the show, and Meddling Adults is about to wrap its first season. Episode 9 featured Barb and Joel Schubert, my parents, making their podcasting debut, and this Wednesday is the season 1 finale. It has been so much fun making the show, and what better time to start listening to it than now when all of the episodes are going to be done and you can just binge them all in one sitting. You can do it. I believe in you. If you want to learn more about Horse, you can go to horsehoops.com, and if you want to learn about Meddling Adults, you can go to meddlingadults.com, and you can find both of the shows if you just search their names on Spotify or Apple or wherever else you get your podcasts. And speaking of exciting things happening to the podcasts that I work on, we have new patrons that are helping to support this podcast. So shout out to Rachel, Eliza Stanley, Jackson Langalon, Jean, Brittany Harper, Sophie, Brittany Cotthouse, Katrina Beinborn, Kaylee Jenny, No One, Ava, Lindsay Easter, Stacy Zuverink, Kimmo Jarvelin, Kezia Hobson, and Granger Danger. Shout out to Gabby W, who upgraded their pledge, and a huge shout out to Brittany Harper, Schulmanatrix, and it's definitely Ludo Bagman for upgrading to the producer level status, as well as our new producer level patrons, Gavin Miller, and your friendly neighborhood Ravenclaw. They join the ranks of Vicky, Aaron, Clown, Machismo, Samantha, Juan, Rosemary, Maria, Romina, Audra, Eleanor, Nikita, Ali, Amelia, Sarah, Ben, Rachel, Zachary, Orchid, Vivian, Haley, Alex, John, Noel, Liz, Brandon, Claire, Rory, Veronica, Lotta, Noah, Tracy, Colleen, Jennifer, Friday, Summer, Justin, Jacob, Maya, Mark, Polly, Zena, Harlan, Noelia, Addie, Nikki, Kine, Amanda, Alicia, Kafir, Sarah, Marta, Eileen, Keegan, Mr. Folk, Maya, Floor, Siri, Georgia, Skyla, Edel, Professor Threat, Ellie, Elizabeth, Michael, Kelly, Carrie, Connie, Jen, Nedry, Will, Samantha, Aurora, Marcos, Courtney, Marique, Ashton, Brittany, Phelan, The Meadows Family, Jenny, McKenna, Heather, Brad, Thomas, Brianna, Kevin, Lori, Chrissy, Yarl, Ashley, Peta, Sophie, Jen, and Callahan, Leah, Melissa, Bella, Melanie, Elizabeth, Britt, Becca, Reese, Adam, Joseph, Lily's mom, Tyrone Money, Madison, Kyle, Tonks, GK, Sabrina, Sophia, Farzan, Melanie, David, Matt, Okama, Hime, Yimki, Bony, Pony, Jacob, Kelsey, Taco, Bluefish, Rike, Taylor, Rochelle, Megan, Alicia, Riley, Colleen, Laurel, Rossanne, Erica, Miranda, Landon, Kendra, Natanya, Yogan, Darcy, Richard, Sandra, Craig, Andren K, Steve, Leor, Angela, Julia, Demi, Kelsey, Michael, Danae, Michelle, Callista, Kringle, Lovekesh, Jennifer, Crystal, Henrika, Jeremy, Delkis, Katrina, Jerica, Michelle, Casey, Megan, 1000 Zot, Serenity, Jack, Sophia, Matthew, Dane, Rochelle, Kirsty, Robin, Chick, Mermaid, Aaron, Biatch, Ilaria, Liam, Lori, Gregory, Kristen, Nina, Ribbon, Kaka, Steamed Nuggets, and Can't Potter, who never burned the roofs of their mouths because they didn't let food cool down long enough out of the microwave. If you want to be like one of these amazing patrons and get access to bonus episodes, exclusive live streams, exclusive merchandise like shirts and stickers and more, you can head on over to patreon.com/Potterless. But without further ado, let's get into episode 134 of Potterless, covering the second part of Act 2 of a Harry Potter sequel, guest starring Anna Brisbin, aka Brizzy Voices. Hello, Internet, and welcome back to another episode of Potterless, the tale of a grown man who didn't read the Harry Potter series as a kid. He read them as an adult, he consumed the canon content, and now he is beyond that. My name is Mike Schubert, I'm that grown man, and I am here joined again today by Brizzy Voices, aka Anna Brisbin. Anna/Brizzy, how's it going?
Hey, pretty good. It has not been long, has it?
No, it's been 1 minute and 35 seconds since we last talked about a Harry Potter sequel,
Yeah.
But for the real world, it's been a whole week.
Isn't that incredible? Time is so wild. Perfect for talking about Harry Potter sequel.
Yeah. I mean, people talk about how all of the people in these books are wizards, but I think podcasters are the true wizards because we had this conversation in the past, but people are listening to it now, and people could even be listening to this in the future.
Yeah, wizards haven't perfectly figured out podcasts yet. It seems like their little radio shows are just live. They haven't even figured out how to record it.
What a bunch of dweebs. They're not even on Spotify.
Right? Idiots.
Gosh, well, we have more of a Harry Potter sequel Act 2 to discuss. We will be talking about the rest of it in this episode, so let's get right into it.
Okay.
When we last discussed a Harry Potter sequel, we were quite confused as to whether or not the poster
of Jacob was meant to be taken down or not, but we now cut to the kids running to go save Sirius. So they have to hide from Death Eaters along the way, but eventually they go to get Sirius. And this is where Ron points out the Jacob poster still being there. He says something to the effect of, oh, these must be in every room. There's got to be one of these everywhere, which gives more support to the theory that it was an accident.
For sure.
We'll get into that later. They free Sirius from his chains by saying Alohomora, and everyone else goes, oh, magic, which is fantastic. And then they're trying to defend Sirius, and the question is raised, what kind of a dumbass would believe this bunch? And then Lupin, again, I love that a Harry Potter trilogy has all of these things of people entering on the perfect lines. Lupin enters and goes, this dumbass.
Yes. I just love Lupin's characterization in this. Outside of the Cho jokes, I pretty much love Lupin's jokes and mannerisms and character.
Yes, I appreciate it. Outside of the Cho jokes and then outside of the homeless jokes, which happened earlier on and then happened when he got fired as well. I think those two things aside, the rest of it is very fun just because it's so not like Lupin that it's humorous.
Yeah.
And it's just a very unique perspective.
Yeah, I like it.
So then you get into the Peter Pettigrew reveal using the map in order to show who he is. And at first they think it's Scabbers. What's very funny is that they scream that rat bastard after, which is pretty fun because they've been calling people bastards the entire play, and rat bastard is a standard insult. So to call him that because he is a rat and it's the curse they've been using the whole play, I think it was a good little crossover joke for him.
Yeah, it's good.
But then Lupin starts to explain who Pettigrew was as a friend and all of that, and Harry is very confused. He says, what? That's impossible. You can't have more than 2 friends.
Draco trying to put his arm around them, being like, what? Oh, come on.
Poor Draco. So the map shows that Peter Pettigrew appears to be Ron, and Harry, of course, in great Harry fashion, immediately turns on Ron. Ron, how could you, you traitor? But then Hermione realizes that Peter Pettigrew is on top of Ron, so they think it's the rat. So immediately they just rip the rat off of Ron's shoulder and stomp it for quite some time.
Stop. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
But what ends up happening is Peter Pettigrew pops out from behind the poster, and this is where I'm confused about whether or not the poster was supposed to be there.
I mean, the only way I can rationalize it is Joey/Ron was supposed to rip down the poster, but not take it with him, I guess. It's just supposed to be ripped off and on a table or something.
I will have to run it by the team and ask them, and we'll get to the bottom of this. Don't worry.
Hey, Past Mike, guess what? You don't have to. Hey, it's me editing, Mike. Thankfully, a lot of listeners pointed me in the direction of a interview video with Joey Richter, who plays Ron. He explains this whole bit. The joke of it was that they were trying to catch the audience off guard to make it look like Ron had messed up removing the poster so that they wouldn't be expecting it when Peter Pettigrew came out of the poster, because this would be the second time in 2 musicals where the bad guy comes out of a poster. So they were trying to keep the audience off the scent and make them be more surprised because they thought, oh, the poster is only there because of a goof. Just wanted to clear that up here before Anna and I, for the next 5 minutes, make incorrect guesses about what happened in the play.
But when Pettigrew comes in, he has a football. Is the football his wand? I was confused.
No, because he's supposed to be Taylor Lautner in the poster, right?
Oh, because he had a football.
He has a T-shirt. He's got his arms up like Taylor Lautner holding a football. Like, he's supposed to be the poster come to life.
Oh, okay. I was so in my head about me thinking that the poster was unintentional that I didn't realize that he's wearing the same outfit.
Yeah. That's why I'm so confused about where the poster is supposed to be at this point. Because it really seemed like he was supposed to take it down.
Yeah, they ended up making it work. I wonder if, maybe he was supposed to rip it and take them with him, or maybe he was supposed to be there, but not necessarily in the... Gosh, oh my goodness.
Oh, wait. Yes, since it was Ron that was supposed to do it, I'm sure that Ron was supposed to rip it down and have it on him, so that Pettigrew was on top of him. That makes way more sense than the poster being on the wall behind him, right?
The only thing that would make more sense about the poster being on the wall is that it's higher up than they are because it's hung on a wall. Whereas if he had the poster, for it to be above him, it would have had to be he would have had to been holding it over his head.
Yeah, but the map doesn't really show vertical depth.
Oh, on top doesn't literally mean on top.
Yeah, you can't really tell, can you? They're in the same spot.
The map doesn't have a Z-axis.
Yeah.
It's a touchscreen 3-dimensional map where you can use all of your iPhone Force Touch keys, all of your hotkeys and shortcuts.
Yeah, not quite.
You can double tap, etc.
Okay, this makes me feel better. It actually makes a lot more sense that Ron was supposed to rip it down. He was supposed to have it like in his cloak or something close to where the rat is. Because that makes much more sense than being like a couple feet behind him.
On the wall next to them. Right. Got it. Cool. We've solved it. Hooray!
Yay!
Yay!
Those poor people who were like messaging you all these things in the week since the last episode.
It's okay. I'm just going to reply to every single message and email with just wait, we figure it out.
Yeah. It made it work though. It's cool how this poster's on the wall and he like comes out from the wall. Like, it's cool.
Mm-hmm. They made it work. They really, really did. So Peter then says, James was my best friend. And then you cut to Lupin with a piano key playing in the background, looking into the middle distance again, going, I thought I was your best friend. Yeah. This bit is great. It's very well done.
Best friend jealousies. Mwah.
So then Ron decides to offer Peter a red vine, and Peter Pettigrew is skeptical at first, but decides he wants one. He says, no tricks, Weasley. Ron says, no tricks, just treats.
It's so slow, the slow, like, moving towards the red vine. Just to give it a little nibble. Stupefy!
Yep. He uses Stupefy, then turns to the camera and says, red vines, what the hell can't they do? And then uproarious applause from the crowd, who is clearly children of everyone that works at Red Vines, I guess. Like
100%.
They are this marketing by a Harry Potter musical / Red Vines. What genius marketing by them, because at least the 50 plus people in this crowd, every single one of them is buying Red Vines every day for the rest of their lives.
For sure. You can't not it's just so genius. How do you point at something so oh, this is like a fake sponsorship? Like Tessa said, they just got free candy and that was the extent of it. Like to point at it so much and make it so lovable in that way? Like how do you master that?
It's absolutely fantastic. I'm also realizing that I probably should reach out to Red Vines and see if they want to sponsor some of the podcast, because if they're down to do this stuff, maybe they'll do that, or at least send me some. But I do want to give some behind the scenes information, because Pat Brady, Tessa's agent, who we talked about lovingly in previous episodes of Potterless.
My agent also.
Oh, whoa, that's amazing, Pat. Hello. You're great. You're doing great things.
Yay, Pat,
She listened to the episode of Potterless, which makes me love Pat even more. So she texted Tessa this. Listening to you on that podcast, Red Vines sent a fucking truck. And in case you get asked that again, the guy who arranged it was the publicist for Red Vines, Doug Looper, who I called Stephen Red Vines, the founder of Red Vines. She says all the LA boys came to the house to meet Chloe Looper. It was so sweet.
Oh
she says that, quote, a literal semi-truck blocked the street in Chicago to drop off the Red Vines.
Where do you put that?
So they got a truck.
Where do you put it?
In your stomachs, I guess.
What did they do with that? I would be so overwhelmed.
I know. God. I don't know how much. I don't know if they got the entire semi-truck of it, or at least the semi-truck made a stop as they were dropping off Red Vines at different vending machines. Maybe they were like, oh, you got to make a stop in Chicago and drop it off for these kids.
Yeah, I guess that makes more sense. But yeah.
Yeah, they got a whole bunch of Red Vines, man. I'm going to have to reach out to Doug Looper and be like, hey, Doug, hit me up.
I will take a pickup truck.
I will just have to not mention that I said that his candy tastes worse than their main competitor. That'll be an interesting workaround.
Yeah.
I've never run into a situation where I've actively trashed on a potential sponsor and then tried to see if I could get them to sponsor the podcast.
I mean, I guess
might not work out.
They could convince you to take back your claims and see. You've seen the light.
That would be the ultimate marketing, is win me over.
Yeah, because then it proves that those who once didn't like Red Vines can now like Red Vines. You can get everyone who actively did not like your brand. You can win them over.
Yeah, noted skeptic Mike Schubert has now become a Red Vine believer.
And you can too.
So Pettigrew is laying on the ground. Lupin walks over and crucios him. There's a little piano riff, like a blah, 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 after he does it, which I think is fun when he squirms around.
Yeah, what the heck?
And Lupin goes to Ron and says, sorry about your rat. And then Ron goes, he's been dead for years, and smiles and puts him back on his shoulder.
And just like bounces up and down like, oh, there's my little dead rat.
Yep. Great.
Oh, it's good.
So then Sirius and Lupin toss the football back and forth to get over the whole Lupin thinking James was his best friend, but maybe not reciprocating it situation. Sirius decides that the only way to settle it is to determine that the two of them shall become the best friends. And Lupin says, that's all I ever wanted. And then Sirius puts his hands in a goalpost motion and goes, touchdown.
So dumb.
So wild, so whack. It's fantastic. Sirius then calls Hermione the cleverest bitch in her year, the line that you like. I think of all the bitch jokes, this is the best. I don't know if that really is saying much.
I just really appreciate wordplay, okay? And references to real Harry Potter quotes.
Oh, and what does he say? The cleverest girl in school instead of...
The brightest witch of her age.
Oh, because it rhymes. See, that would have made it even better.
Yeah, okay.
Oh,
now,
man,
see,
okay.
Yeah, it's not as funny when you don't realize that they're replacing the word witch.
This is why I wasn't as on board with the joke in last episode, and now I get it.
They should have said brightest bitch of her age, but I guess
oh yeah, right. So it was the exact quote.
Yeah, but you know, when they started saying you're the cleverest, like everyone who has like heard these lines recycled through their brain for 10, 15 years has been like, yeah, cleverest witch of her age. Like you're expecting that to come out, and then it's, you know, it's the redirect of, oh, cleverest bitch of your age. So then it's ha-ha.
Okay. All right. I now get it. Huzzah.
You get it because it was explained to you, so that means it was really funny.
I definitely have received some feedback where we're explaining some of the jokes here. They're like, well, obviously it's not going to be funny if you explain it. It's like, well, I'm sorry. This is the podcast. I don't know what to tell you. Then Sirius calls Draco Dracula Thalmoy.
Yeah, Thalmoy? Is that a real thing?
I don't know. But then he later goes on and he says, what can I do for you, Count Chocula?
Yeah. Oh my God. This is ridiculous.
Then Draco says that there's a girl that he likes. Then Sirius immediately just says that he can't help him with that. He says, rule number 1, boys, you never tell a girl that you like her. It just makes you look like an idiot, which was a callback to a Harry Potter musical.
The audience loved it.
They really ate it up.
Yes, we understand that reference. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the Captain America gif, but the entire audience. I understood that reference.
Yeah.
Which would have been great if they all said that in unison, if everyone at the same time just went, yes. I understood that reference. So the plan is to take Peter Pettigrew back to the Ministry, and they're going to ride on their brooms on the way back. And then Lupin goes, we'll let the beautiful full moon light our way. Oh no! And then turns into a werewolf. So he fully turns into the werewolf, and Hermione and then the rest of the crew joins in. She says, transforming in a full moon, Lupin must be and then in unison they all go, gremlin! Also, one of my favorite bits, them just continually not recognizing that he's a werewolf. It's very funny.
Yes. I mean, the first time is the funniest time, but it's still funny.
Right. Anytime they can come up with a new mythical-esque creature to incorrectly identify him as, I appreciate it. I always love an improv shows when you just do like tag out jokes and you just try to see how many different iterations of the same joke you can make until you've exhausted yourself. And I feel like they hit right at the limit in this play.
Yeah, I will say that I think the first time they say vampire the most, as someone who is not as aware of Twilight, you probably at least know the like, I know what you are, say it, vampire.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like vampire is usually the response to like, what are you? And so the fact that it's like, he's and the suspense, and then it's like semi-Twilight reference vampire, but he's not, because it's funny.
There's an implied say it in between the pause.
Yeah.
So Sirius tries to calm Lupin down with a best friend plea, and then of course the soft piano is back again. I think my favorite character in a Harry Potter sequel is the soft piano. And Sirius gets slashed and torn.
But that scene, did you notice how identical that delivery was to the movie? from Prisoner of Azkaban when Sirius is trying to calm him down?
Yes, it was very, very reminiscent of trying to talk him down.
It's in your heart! In here! Here is where your heart truly lies! Like, oh, that is very, like, exactly what Gary Oldman did. So,
it's
appreciate.
a very solid impression of him.
Also, the Sirius Black costume is probably the most screen accurate of them all.
The Sirius Black costume is really good, and the werewolf puppet work is fantastic. It's two people operating it. It's really big. Again and again, the prop department, man, really good.
Yeah, definitely. Also, Pat Brady is basically the puppet woman of Los Angeles. She is the agent for majority of like the top tier puppeteers in LA.
What a great specific niche to have the monopoly on.
I don't know that she was involved in that, but I would not be surprised.
I would really hope that on her business card it says Pat Brady, Master of Puppets. Or she's the master of Puppetmasters, I guess. That could be her tagline.
Yeah, basically. Wow, she pulls the strings on those who pull the strings. Oh, wow.
So then there is some cooing from the forest, which distracts the werewolf, very much like the movie.
Ow.
And the werewolf goes away. The squad goes to check on Sirius, but then Umbridge enters, as does Dumbledore. And I really appreciate that when Dumbledore enters, Umbridge goes, "Dumbledore!" really angrily. And then pause. Did you get my texts?
Yes. Best line.
Mm-hmm. So then there is a 1-2 punch of lines that didn't sit well with me, which is after Dumbledore and Umbridge have a bit of an argument back and forth, Dumbledore says, "Don't you get it, you crazy bitch." Not a great combo of crazy bitch. And then says, "I'm gay." And then she goes, "We'll choose not to be gay then." Which I guess was the reference of like people back in 2010 saying like, oh, being gay is a choice, which I think thankfully has not really persisted anymore.
Yeah, I think it was definitely making fun of those people for sure.
Yes. Oh, 100%. Yeah. What I did find interesting though is that the crowd made no reaction to that joke.
Oh,
it was just silent, which I think made it sit worse when I was watching it because I wanted to be like, hey guys, that's supposed to be making fun of people that think this is true. Have none of you realized that this is a joke?
Yeah, I feel like the audience, like for the most part, really loves the fan servicey stuff, don't they?
They love red vines and callbacks.
Yeah, red vines, callbacks, and like disappointing people sort of moments, like the awes, like the little feel bad sort of moments.
Mm-hmm. So Dumbledore then threatens to use magic against her, but Umbridge breaks his wand, and then Dumbledore very matter-of-factly is just like, "Oh, there goes the Elder Wand," and Harry goes, "What's the Elder Wand?" He goes, "That doesn't matter anymore, Harry."
I love it. Oh, shit, that was the Elder Wand.
So Dumbledore tries to ease the tension of the situation by saying, "Oh, fine, I'll be your boyfriend." But then Umbridge launches into a song saying no, and how she is not going to accept him. And I wasn't a huge fan of the song, but I was a huge fan of the Dementor dance break in the middle of the song.
Oh, yeah.
I appreciate a good dance break. I appreciate good costume work, and the combination of the two was right in my wheelhouse.
Yeah, I mean, if you know you're doing a musical and you know you're going to have Dementors this time around, like you need to find a moment where they're going to dance.
Yeah, it's something that I've noticed. I don't know if you are a fellow ARMY member, but I'm a big fan of BTS.
Less familiar.
Okay. And if I gave you any homework, it would be just watch some BTS music videos because
I've seen a few.
Those boys are perfect.
I'm more of a Blackpink person, but I've seen a few.
I'm a big fan of Do 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 by Blackpink, but the rest of their songs I'm more lukewarm on.
Yeah.
But something I appreciate about BTS and their music videos, they're very good at dancing, and in a lot of them they wear very flowy outfits, so it really captures the movement of the dances.
So it follows you.
And I felt like you got a little bit of that with the Dementors in this dance break as well, since they're all in the big cloaks.
Yeah, for sure. Really cool flailing, flying fabric. Yes.
Flailing, flying fabrics, you say? Interesting. Hey, everyone, it's me, Editing Mike. I'm here because these fabrics make me think of one of our sponsors of this episode of Potterless, and in order to discuss these sponsors, we have to take a little bit of a break for Wingardium Adridosa. Today's episode of Potterless is brought to you by STITCHFIX. Flailing flying fabrics. See, I told you, you can get some fabrics delivered directly to you, and you could say that they fly and flail on their way over, right? I think that makes sense if you got your clothes delivered directly to your door with STITCHFIX. STITCHFIX is a personal styling company that brings you the world of fashion and style directly to your door. You don't even have to leave your couch, and you can have fun while you use their service. To get started, just go to stitchfix.com/Potterless, set up your profile, let them know what the colors of clothes you want, the style of clothes, even the budget that you're looking at, and they will send personalized looks just for you directly to your door. You can schedule these deliveries for any time. There's no subscription required. You can have them come regularly, or you can just have them come on a need clothes basis. Plus, shipping, returns, and exchanges are easy and free, and the $20 styling fee for each fix is credited towards anything you keep from your box. So let Stitch Fix do the hard work for you. They've clothes for men, women, and kids, and the only thing that you have to do is decide, do I like this? Yes, I will keep it. Do I like this? No, I will send it back. Pretty simple. And as a Potterless listener, if you go to stitchfix.com/Potterless, you will get 25% off when you keep everything in your fix. That's stitchfix.com/Potterless, and you'll get 25% off when you keep everything in your box. So go to stitchfix.com/Potterless, fill out the quiz and the profile to the best of your ability so that your personal stylist knows exactly what clothes to send to you. You'll want to keep everything from your box, and then when you do, you get 25% off today. Today's episode of Potterless is also brought to you by BetterHelp. Let's say hypothetically that you are Draco Malfoy in a Harry Potter sequel, and there's a lot going on for you right now. You've got a crush on this girl that doesn't like you back, you're time traveling, your dad hates you, many things. You want to be able to talk to someone about this. Who could you talk to? A licensed professional with BetterHelp. If something's interfering with your happiness or preventing you from achieving your goals, even if you're not exactly sure what it is, BetterHelp can help you because they will assess your needs and match you with your own licensed professional therapist. You can start communicating in under 48 hours, and there's a broad range of expertise available, which might not even be available to you locally. BetterHelp service is available worldwide, and you can log into your account anytime to send a message to your counselor. They will give you timely and thoughtful responses. You can schedule regular video sessions or phone sessions so that you never have to sit in an uncomfortable waiting room like you have to do with traditional therapy. And BetterHelp is more affordable than traditional online counseling, and they have financial aid available as well, and they're committed to facilitating great therapeutic matches, so they make it easy and free to change counselors if needed. You don't have to take my word for it. You can listen to testimonials from people who have used BetterHelp. If you go to betterhelp.com/reviews, you can see what people are saying about it. BetterHelp wants to help you start having a happier life today, and if you want that as well, you can go to betterhelp.com/Potterless and join the over 1 million people taking charge of their mental health with the help of an experienced professional. And as a Potterless listener, you'll get 10% off your first month if you go to betterhelp.com/Potterless. So go to betterhelp.com/Potterless, BetterHelp, HELP, and finally have someone to talk to about how your time traveling father doesn't really like you today.
So Umbridge then sicks the Dementors on Sirius. Harry jumps in to try to stop them, but he ends up passing out from the Dementors. And then he comes to later with the squad and Dumbledore and Draco. Dumbledore says that he has to leave to go get help, and Harry just wants to give up, but Draco says the Harry that he knows wouldn't give up, and Harry responds by saying, "That's because the Harry Potter you know is a 12-year-old superhero."
Yeah. And what does he say? I'm just an 11-year-old.
And I'm just an 11-year-old kid, or I'm just an 11-year-old baby, one of the two.
I think he's like 11-year-old boy. Like, I'm just a little boy. That's so good. 12-year-old superhero.
It's also really funny because I remember being that young. The difference in a year was so significant.
Yeah, for sure.
It was such a huge step to be like, oh, I'm 11 and you're 12. And that's why it was so important to be like, oh, it's my half birthday. I'm 11 and a half.
When those first two movies came out, like, I remember it being such a difference. Seeing the trailer for Chamber of Secrets for the first time and being like, oh my gosh, he grew up so much. His voice is so deep. Like, he's a 12-year-old superhero now, you know? Like, I was 10, 11, and I was like, oh my God, he grew up. But he's 12. Like, the actor was maybe 13.
So Harry is saying, I don't know, what are we going to do? What can we do? What do we do if there's no time? And then Draco realizes, time. So then they time turn. Mm-hmm. When they time turn, they go back to the part where Snape is saying that he wants to motorboat Lily. So what a perfect scene to walk in on.
Talking to an actual child.
Yes. It's just a tiny little boy. I love the replacement actors that they do for the time travel people from the past because they look nothing like the people that they're supposed to be. And it's just a great little bit.
I kind of wish they had used actual children for all of the replacement actors, but obviously they didn't have access to that many children. They could have at least, like, maybe, I don't know if that kid needed to leave or what, but when they have Draco's past self later. They could have had the kid being Draco since Draco's so small, but instead they had this tall guy. I don't know.
Then Harry sees past Harry and goes, "Who's that? I think I'm in love," which is wonderful. Love douchebag Harry.
Wonderful.
So this time-turnered Harry convinces drunk Snape to save him by calling him a great guy, saying he appreciates him, etc. Snape then thanks him, says he's going to save Harry, and calls him, quote, "a figment of my own guilt."
Yeah. What?
Hey, Editing Mike here again. Just a little spoiler warning for anyone that hasn't seen the newest trilogy of Star Wars movies. We're going to talk about something that happens across those 3 films. And then also about 3 minutes from now, we're going to talk about Cursed Child spoilers. So if either of those are things that you would like to avoid, I would just skip ahead 5 minutes or so to be safe. Anyway, back to the podcast.
Sure, it works. I mean, if you have to deal with time traveling and he's also drunk, like, I guess that would make sense.
Yeah, I guess it's like Kylo Ren talking to Leia. I don't know. Or Han, rather.
Yeah, because the Han one, no, definitely the Han one, because that would be a figment of his own guilt. Very solid reference. So Harry then sings a hype-up song, and of course he takes credit for time travel when they're doing this song. Again, it's not my favorite song. It felt very much like the marching song from a Harry Potter musical where they're getting like hyped up to do the final battle. And for me, it just kind of feels out of place because it's not particularly funny or clever. It's just let's go do it song, which, I don't know, we're in a whole play of goofs and goofy, silly times.
Yeah, certainly.
I don't know that we need a not goofy song.
I do love the melody, though.
Yeah, melody really good. The harmonies of the other 3 when they join in, Darren, Chris, oh man, I'm very impressed with everyone's singing ability in this production.
Yeah, for sure.
So then after the song, someone says, "There's nothing that could get in the way of us saving Sirius," and then immediately enter Lucius Malfoy. I just love the dedication to this bit of people entering at dramatic moments. It's great.
Yes.
Draco dances over to get in front of the squad to protect them, and Lucius absolutely loves it. He goes, "Draco, I finally taught you something." And Draco goes, "No, the centaurs taught me that. Body bind hex," just very matter-of-factly. And then Lucius falls to his knees and just goes, "Oh no."
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah, Draco and the centaurs is an interesting decision.
It truly is. Draco gets Yaxley to join their side, which is nice. Ron goes, "Awesome, adults," and high-fives Yaxley when he joins the team. Lucius then asks if Draco will be auditioning for the Met. Draco says, "No, I'm auditioning for the Wizard Cops. How does this sound? You're going to jail." And Lucius immediately goes, "It sounded forced."
Good stuff.
Then we get the big reveal from Lucius that Draco's real father is actually Dobby.
Dun, dun, dun. Can you believe?
I did not see this coming at all.
So wild. And I didn't make the Cursed Child connection until this rewatch. I mean, obviously, I haven't watched it since Cursed Child came out.
Right.
Like, I heard people talking about, like, the time turner thing with Lucius, like, so very Cursed Child. And I was like, oh, yeah, you're right. But I hadn't rewatched it to, like, remember the Dobby part, too. Like, oh, my God.
It is painfully similar to Cursed Child, and it gets even farther on because Lucius eventually gets to a point where he is saying that he had to hide these rumors and he wouldn't want it to get out. And that's, like, the whole plot of Cursed Child.
Yeah. The only difference is it's grown-up Draco doing the exact same thing for his son, but it's so wild.
It's so ridiculous how similar it is, and I feel like a Harry Potter musical and Star Kid, they should get some royalties.
I feel like Jack Thorne, not J.K. Rowling, but I think Jack Thorne, who was the majority writer of Cursed Child. J.K. Rowling mostly was just like, yeah, sounds good. Here's some notes.
Oh, I'm going to get paid a lot of money? Yeah, sure. Cool.
Yeah,
cool.
I feel like Jack Thorne probably saw this at some point. I don't think it was intentional, but I bet there was some subconscious influence.
Could be. I also like to live in a world where Jack Thorne was like a student the day before an assignment was due. And then he was like, oh, I got to write a sequel? Shit. And then he just literally searched Potter sequel.
Oh my
God.
God.
And a very Potter sequel showed
Incredible.
up. And then he just watched it and then just
That's a great
slightly
idea.
changed it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's wonderful.
So Lucius says, couldn't you tell? And the proof Hermione brings up that house elves die in toilet-related accidents every year by falling in. So this explains why Draco isn't good with the toilet. And then Lucius brings up that he has a very small D, and Draco goes, it's so small.
Oh, my Lord.
Then a little dark joke in that Draco reveals that he used to be really mean to Dobby and drowned the youngest of his litter.
Yes,
so he goes, my brothers?
Oh, my God. He drowned his young. Like, what the hell?
I know. Because then, like, who did Dobby have kids with? Winky, I guess, is the only other explanation.
Oh, God, I don't know.
So then Lucius goes into this whole I couldn't let the rumors get out thing, and he says that what would people think? Narcissa Malfoy beds Smeagol. And yeah, really, really big cursed child vibes.
Yeah.
It's absolutely ridiculous. Lucius goes to Crucio Draco, but Hermione steps in the way, and she gets hit with the spell, and this is her saying no, but she says it like the werewolf howl, which is great, and that's how we know with time turnering, that's how the werewolf went away. And then Lupin comes in as a werewolf, and Lucius screams, it's a robot.
Yeah, that one's kind of thrown away. I like that.
It's great.
You're not necessarily going to hear that one.
No, and I like that it's the classic joke structure of, okay, we've done mythical creature, we've done mythical creature, we've done mythical creature, and now it's just robot.
Yeah, so out of left field. I like it.
So then we go back to the scene where the Dementors are attacking Sirius and Harry, and we see that Dumbledore comes in and just says, magic, and then everyone goes, ah, and he's able to save Harry and runs off with him.
I mean, that seems like a very Dumbledore thing to do.
Honestly, makes sense.
Yeah.
Then the new squad, the Time Turner squad, comes in, and Umbridge is very confused because they just left, and now they're here. They all start to do Expecto Patronum, and they say, don't cross the streams. There's also the line before they do Expecto Patronum where Umbridge says that she's going to make the Dementors kiss Sirius. And then Harry goes, the only person who's kissing Sirius is me. And then one by one, from Ron to Hermione to Draco to Yaxley, they just keep going, and me.
Yeah.
So they're all going to do Expecto Patronum. They scream to not cross the streams. And the Patronuses are the Green Lantern, Boba Fett, Genie from Aladdin, and then a stag.
Oh my God. It's wonderful.
I want to know how Green Lantern got into the mix because it feels very specific. I mean, it was all, again, art department doing great things. It was all on these like cardboard cutouts, but Green Lantern shows up.
When did that bad Green Lantern movie come out? Maybe it was around then.
It was much later. It was much later than that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Hey, Past Mike, you could technically be right if by much later you mean 1 year. Hey, Editing Mike here, just letting you know that Green Lantern movie came out in 2011 and this play came out in 2010. So I don't know what Past Mike was thinking, but he was incredibly incorrect, and Anna was pretty close in thinking that it came out the exact same year because it almost did. Anyway, back to the podcast.
Umbridge then is able to get Harry Potter in a chokehold after Harry tries to talk her down, and Umbridge says, drop your weapons. So they all drop their wands, but then Draco takes a gun from out of his sock and then a sword from out of the back of his belt. Gosh.
It's so dumb. I love it.
It's just ridiculous. And then it seems bad, but Firenze comes in, and there is a fight scene between Firenze and Umbridge. And not going to lie, the fight choreography, pretty sound. Pretty good stuff.
Oh, yeah, that was Joe Moses.
Oh.
Yeah, he does fight choreography.
Wow. Did he study that? How does one become well-versed in fight choreography?
Most, if not all of them, were theater majors, right? So
Got it.
I had a fight choreography class at university as well, so probably that at some point.
That's really cool. What is the coolest fight choreography thing that you learned how to do or know how to do?
Probably just pretending to throw someone and then they do a barrel roll.
Nice. Okay.
I don't know.
It's fun. The closest I ever got to fight choreography was I was in Midsummer Night's Dream in college, and other people had fight choreography, but I also had to be at the practice, even though I wasn't in the scene, which was the bane of my theater career. was being at a rehearsal when I was not in the scene. It's just, why am I here? I could be doing so many other things.
Yeah, wow.
But they had a specific fight choreography guy come in, and he seemed to know his stuff. He went through like sword fighting techniques and stuff, and I thought about all the engineering problem work I could have been doing instead of sitting.
Yeah. I've only done a very small amount of sword stuff. I took a couple of motion capture classes last year, and one of them was a magic class, because I was just like, I want to learn how to do magic motion capture. Like if you're in a video game or something where you're doing magic, and just teaching us how to act those believably and wonderfully, specifically for motion capture. And some of it was like lightsaber sort of situations and using the Force, and some of it was like wand work, and it's just so sick. It's kind of like fight choreo.
That's cool. I know that the guy who was the wand choreographer for the movies was at one of the Leaky Cons, and you could get wand choreography lessons with him.
Yeah, I remember one of the DVD special features was Natalia Tena, who played Tonks, going through like the wand choreography stuff with that guy.
Oh, cool. That's pretty fun. Yeah, I guess the only other experience that I have with fight choreography is seeing the Indiana Jones thing at Disney World, where they do all the stunts and stuff. Yeah. Always a fun time.
Good stuff.
So, fight scene, there's fight choreography. There's at one point Firenze gets hit in the face by Umbridge and says, "This must be the emotion you humans know as blood."
Oh my God, yeah. How do you even think of that line?
It's quality stuff. And there's even some Matrix references in the fight scene, which is fun. I recently just binged the Matrix trilogy as one of the movie night things I've been doing with Kelly, and it was very fun to see those references come into play.
Yeah, I only just saw the first Matrix for the first time a couple months ago.
Oh, what did you think?
Oh, it was fun. I don't think I was mind blown, but it was cool. I was like, wow, now I understand all these things.
These are all the references people keep making.
Yeah. I mean, I always knew like the pills and all that, but you know, now it's all got context.
I know Kung Fu.
Yeah.
So then during the fight, Firenze realizes that Umbridge has the proper strength. And then I remembered way early on in Act 1, Firenze talking about them trying to mate with humans, but no one being strong enough.
I hate it.
So then I realized where they were getting at, and they do what you can assume happens. Like they bring her off to mate with the rest of them. I don't know. I don't like putting my mind there. No thanks. I don't. And the only saving grace that I could see for this is that when I was doing the book episodes of Potter Listen, we were going over the 5th book, and we were discussing the scene where Umbridge gets taken away by the centaurs. There were some fan theories that they did some rough stuff to her, things that I'd rather not discuss on the podcast. And I guess maybe they could be alluding to that. I could see it.
Yeah, I thought about that as well. I don't know if it was intentional.
Otherwise, you're looking at like an assault joke, which doesn't feel good.
Yeah, for sure.
I am not qualified to talk about this stuff, but it did not feel great.
Right.
Then they leave, and you have a scene where everybody else is there. Lupin ends up entering with a dead and bloodied up Pettigrew. Lupin is back in his only wearing underwear and covered in blood costume, and he has brought in Pettigrew to defend Sirius. He goes in and asks Neville to confirm the time of death of Pettigrew, and Neville's like, "I'm no coroner, but he's been dead for 10 minutes and 46 seconds.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
People start to see what Lupin is getting at and start to agree that Sirius should be innocent. But then they question, wait, what happened to Peter Pettigrew? Why is he so mangled up? And then Lupin goes, it must be the Hogwarts Jaguar.
Yes, the famed
Hogwarts Jaguar. And then Lupin, as he reveals this, covers his mouth and goes, "Lupin shouldn't have to pay for that."
Wonderful.
Arthur then comes in and he absolves Sirius of his crimes. Everyone is very happy. Harry says that he wants to stay with Sirius, and then Sirius says, "Harry, I am homeless. Can I live with you?" Which is funny in that they do never establish Grimmauld Place anywhere in the Sirius line, so they have not given him a home to return to.
True.
Sirius says that he's going to leave, though, so he can travel the world a bit. So Harry gives him his firebolt, I guess to make sense of why he didn't have it in the next one. Another aspect of this play is like, obviously they couldn't have thought of this stuff since they made them not in chronological time order, but a lot of the things that get established in this first year of this version of Harry Potter come to not make a whole lot of sense when you think about the plot of the first musical.
Yeah, interesting.
So Lupin decides that he's going to go off with Sirius, and Harry asks Lupin, wait, aren't you going to stay here and teach us defense against the dark arts? And Lupin goes, I quite literally taught you everything I know. Guess he just had 1 year's worth of curriculum prepared.
Ish.
But then Lupin says, I'm sure you'll be seeing a lot more of us next year, right, Draco? And Draco says, I'd rather not say. So then there's a scene with Draco and Hermione after everyone leaves. And they leave singing again the Hermione Can't Draw song, but there is a line that either they didn't say before or maybe I just didn't notice it. But they say Hermione can't draw, Hermione can't draw. She only reads books and she cannot draw, even if she's reading a how to draw book.
Yeah, that's the peak moment of the song for sure.
It's really funny. And I apologies to this song if they said it earlier and I didn't notice it. Okay, I must have just missed it because that's very funny. And this also made me think of, I remember in middle school, there were these books called, I think they were called like the Big Red Book of Drawing, and there were different colors, like the Big Red Book of Drawing, the Big Blue Book of Drawing, all that kind of stuff. And it was these step-by-step books that told you how to draw stuff. And it was one of those things where you could make drawings just out of like basic shapes.
Right.
So it would just be like, draw a line here, draw a square here, draw a circle here. And then at the end, it's, oh, look, you've drawn a fire truck. And this is in the Big Red Book here. So you can draw all these red things. And I am horrible at drawing. I struggle to draw a straight line with a ruler. It was really nice for me to have books that showed me, look, you can draw these things too with basic shapes.
Yeah. It wouldn't work for Hermione though. Alas.
Nope. She can't draw, unfortunately. So Hermione hugs and forgives Draco. Draco calls her the prettiest girl in the entire school and admits that he is fond of her. But then Hermione backs away from an attempted kiss and says, I know I have the lowest self-esteem out of anyone at Hogwarts, but I think I can do better.
Oh my God. Ouch.
Crushing.
Oh my gosh.
She leaves, and as Draco is about to go off into the forest to catch up with his time-traveling self, you see Luna show up. And she talks about pig farts, she talks about wearing diapers, and Draco even alludes to her not being in the first two plays, saying, you're that girl that was mysteriously absent from her second year. And I gotta say, I am pretty upset that Luna wasn't in any of the musicals, and I don't like that her only appearance in this is like, oh, look, a joke, because as my guest Hannah pointed out in one of my episodes about Act 2 of a Harry Potter musical, there's not a lot of strong women characters in these musicals, at least so far, and that is disappointing.
For sure. Yeah. Also, Ginny's cut out of this one, so even less there. Yeah, it's a bummer.
Yeah, it seems like all of the women in these are just the butts of jokes, and I guess Hermione has some redeeming elements and some parts of the plays where she steps up for herself and really brings stuff to the table.
Yeah, Coolest Girl is my favorite song, perhaps, of all of the Harry Potter musicals.
Yeah, it's just a shame that everything else that is not Hermione being independent is people consistently dunking on her.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I have been informed that McGonagall is in the third one, which makes me happy because she's a very strong candidate for strong woman that should be in the plays. So I'm glad that she finally makes an appearance. Apparently it's very good. That makes me happy. But yeah, I mean, you don't have a lot in these plays, and it could just be that maybe Star Kid is made up of mostly dudes or whatever. And I know that the Harry Potter books have more characters that are men that are mentioned a lot than women that are mentioned a lot, so it also could be a source material thing.
But when you are gifted like Luna and McGonagall and Ginny, although she's taken out of this one, I mean, speaking from experience, theater programs are not lacking in women at all. So I don't know how exactly Star Kid formed, but I wouldn't think they would be lacking in ladies.
No, and they clearly aren't. I mean, even look at the person who plays Rita is the one who played Ginny, and she's barely in it. She's very fun when she's in it. It's not like the women that they have cast are not talented. And if you're going to have Luna be at the end and it just be a joke that she wasn't in the second one, you've still established her. So why not just have her be there for the entire year and then find some bullshit excuse to make her go away for a year? You know, she could have been in the rest of the play if she's going to be in just the last scene. And it like ended up making me more upset because they've recognized that Luna's not there, but they still haven't put her in the whole play. I don't know. I was sad.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
I am holding you personally responsible.
No.
So Draco is very excited about Luna sharing a lot of similarities with him. They're going to go off into the forest together and hang out with the centaurs. You cut to Dumbledore putting his office back together, and he's wearing a Wildcat jersey in honor of Zac Efron. Yes. But here's the problem. As a true High School Musical fan that I am, his jersey is number 11. Troy Bolton's jersey in High School Musical is number 14. So what the fuck were they doing?
Where did this jersey come from?
Who's number 11?
I don't know.
It's ridiculous. If you're going to go so far as to get a Wildcat jersey for a prop, at least get the right number.
Yeah. I wonder where this jersey came from. Is there a school nearby?
The thing is, like, Wildcats is such a prolific and common name for a mascot, and red is such a common color for high schools that maybe they knew someone who went to a school where it was Wildcats, because it wasn't modeled after the High School Musical jerseys. It didn't look like it. It was just red and said Wildcats was number 11 on the back. So maybe they just had someone with it. But if you're gonna do the joke, you gotta do the joke. You gotta get number 14. Like, get your head in the game, Star Kid.
This is the most specific nitpick of Very Part Musical I've ever heard.
I am very passionate about the High School Musical extended universe, and if you're gonna make a reference, you gotta do it right. It made me furious. My blood was boiling.
You know, maybe he had so much respect for Zephron that he's retired that number. No one else can wear that number.
Yeah, okay.
He's just on his team, you know?
Oh, he could not give honor to the number 14 the same way that Zephron has done so.
Yeah.
So rather than try to emulate him and water down the importance of number 14, he's wearing a different number. Okay,
That's it.
You got me. I can see this. I can see this.
I'm so good at rationalizing. You should have talked to me about reading Harry Potter books. I would explain away every plot hole with something ridiculous.
Then I will not be talking to you about the Put Outer versus the Deluminator because I have settled that beef. So Dumbledore is putting the Zephron poster back on the wall. He says it's good to be back. Then you have Scarfy and the Hat getting together and saying that they're going to get married. Dumbledore wants to be the first man. It's fantastic. Then you have a nice little heartfelt scene between Dumbledore and Harry, and it's pretty nice and touching and doesn't really get ruined, which was good. And then Harry kind of goes by one, saying goodbye to everybody. And at one point, Snape comes up, says, "I thought you'd like this photo of your mother." And then Harry goes, "Oh, wow, thanks, Snape." And then he grabs it back and he goes, "I said you'd like it, not that you can have it. I'm putting it back under my pillow where it belongs."
Yes,
gosh.
Good, accurate.
Wonderful, wonderful stuff. Then there's an end of the year song to round out the musical, and that's the end of the Harry Potter sequel.
That's it. Yeah.
So, Brizzy, how did you feel about this particular play as a whole, Act 2 specifically, the whole trilogy? What are your very sequel thoughts?
Again, I've only seen the 2, but I think I prefer.
It's okay to prefer the first one.
I think I prefer the first one. No, I think it's less of a hot take to prefer the first one, I feel like, because it's like, oh, the classic, whatever. But I love Coolest Girl. I love that song. I used the only musical I ever auditioned for. I used that song.
Oh, cool.
Didn't get a part, but I used that song.
Well, fuck them.
It's okay. I'm terrified of musicals, but I love it. And rewatching it, there's so many parts that I forgot that they're just so smart and genius and so out of left field and clever, and I really, really, really love that shit. And then the problematic stuff, I mean, I get it, but also, like, didn't think anything of it when I first saw it.
Yeah, I mean, and that's just what happens when you're watching something and you're younger, or it's a time when we aren't as aware of it. Not that excuses it, but
for sure,
it's just a reason of why we didn't necessarily pick up on it in our earlier viewings of it, and that's why we talk about these things now.
Yeah.
I mean, I enjoyed the sequel. I think that there are elements of the second one that I enjoyed more than the first. I don't know which one I prefer just because I think there are different pros and cons to each of them.
Yeah.
I do still feel like there weren't a whole lot of songs in what is supposed to be a musical.
Yeah.
And I don't find a problem with that because I usually am not the biggest fan of musicals that are just song.
Me neither.
So I don't think that's that big of a problem, but I know some people have raised that concern with it. I think that the jokes are a little more cleverly crafted in this one. I feel like if it didn't have the Umbridge stuff and so many of the things that we talked about, like the Cho were sexualizing 11-year-old humor throughout it, I feel like if those two elements weren't in there, I would like this one so much more than the first, no questions asked. But it's hard for me to separate that from the play just because Umbridge is there a lot. And even if there is really only a couple of scenes that are really bad with the Umbridge, maybe it's insensitive to trans people, non-binary people, whether it's indirect or not. Anytime she's on screen, I just get reminded of it, even if it's not actively being made fun of throughout the rest of the play. So that's, I think, the biggest unfortunate drawback of it, but I did still really enjoy it. And I found it was funny. Again, I don't know that I'll be rewatching it, but maybe I'll be listening to particular songs because the songs are really good.
Yeah.
There's other bits that I will walk away liking. Just, I think the dancing of Lucius, I think is great because I already liked Draco flopping around. And just anytime someone stares off into the middle distance and a piano starts to play, tugs at my funny bone.
Yeah, I love their moments of explaining things in the first one that were just seemingly random choices. Like the headband is given such a good background. Draco rolling around on the floor is given such a good background. It's genius in that way. But the one that I actually prefer most is Holy Musical Batman. So if you ever start a podcast called Batman Lists, please invite me over for that episode. I love it so much.
I've heard really good things about it, so I'll have to go watch it. More and more people say that it is one of their better works, so I'm excited to watch it eventually. But Anna, thank you so much for coming on the pod. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for
If
having
people want to
me.
find you doing stuff online, where can they do so?
Oh yeah, sure. I am mostly on the YouTubes, Brizzy Voices, doing lots of voice impressions of cartoons and talking about geeky things and Harry Potter, a big old jumble of geekdom. And on Twitter and Instagram at Brizzy Voices, BRIZZY Voices, because I do the voice things. And on my podcast with Tessa, Fantastic Geeks and Where to Find Them.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining. Listeners, thanks for listening. And as they say in the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, after they complete a successful jazz square, wizard on!
Yay!
Hey, in today's intro, I talked about the Multitude digital live show that's going on, and if you don't listen to other podcasts from Multitude, you should. Horse has everything you need to know about the NBA bubble that's happening. It's going to be a ridiculous thing to follow on social media from afar, and we're here to cover it for you. Meddling Adults is about to wrap its first season. We've been doing incredible mysteries from Encyclopedia Brown, Scooby-Doo, Nancy Drew. It's been an absolute riot. I'm very biased, but I think the show is phenomenal. Spirits has covered a lot of diverse subjects recently, from old folklore to urban legends to Pokemon to movies. Joined the Party recently just did a little one-shot in the middle of their second season, which is very fun. And Next Stop season is complete, so you can binge the entire thing in one sitting. If you want to learn about all of these shows, you can head on over now to multitude.productions. Potterless is created by Mike Schubert. It is hosted by Mike Schubert. It is edited by Mike Schubert. It is produced by Mike Schubert, as well as Vicky Garcia, Aaron Johnson, Klaus Lopu, Marchismo, Samantha Rose, Juan Sanfilio, Rosemary Dodge, Marie Lisa C. Keen, Romina Rivadeneira, Audra Eleanor Curlin, Nikita Power, Ali Madsen, Amelia Krause, Sarah Nink, Ben Silver, Rachel Guthrie, Zachary Pulido, Orca Grower, Vivian the Owl, Haley Hastings Moser, Alex Consilver, John Kotker, Noel Basile, Liz Bigelow, Brandon Pickens, Claire Spencer, Rory Collier, Veronica Bartova, Lotta Bartova, Noah, Tracy Toya, Colleen, Jennifer Mark, Frida J. Svensson, Summer Rathel, Justin Montero, Jacob Parrish, Maya Gray, Mark Body, Polly Burridge, Zena Rosnowski, Harlan Haskins, Noelia, Addie, Nikki Harris, Kine, Amanda Alfred, Alicia McLaren, Kafir Shaltiel, Sarah Shetter, Marta Morrison, Eileen Gazesh, Keegan Curran, Mr. Folk, Maya, Floor Sake, Siri Scars for Georgia Davis, Skylar Lilly, Edel Ryan, Professor Threat, Ellie Hoskov-Chova, Elizabeth Christofferson, Michael David Yordi, Kelly Otilio, Kerry Crumpler, Connie Bienkowski, Jen Went, Nedry OS, Will Huser, Samantha Lentz, Aurora Fruhoff, Marco Cepeda, Courtney Marie Grieger, Ashton Gabrielson, Brittany Gutierrez, Fail on the Meadows Family, Ginny from the Block, McKenna Tweedy, Heather Langeal, Brad Harding, Brianna Kusumano, Kevin Stewart, Lori McDonald, Chrissy Tew, Charles Fiven, Ashley Enstrom, Peter McGrath, Sophie Duda, Jen and Rose Dowd, Callahan and Darius, Leah Reed, Melissa Robb, Bella Barlack, Melanie Demi, Elizabeth Yu, Britt McLean, Becca Spry, Reese Dignan, Adam Graham, Joseph Torp, Lily's Mom, T-Run Money, Madison Kyle, Don't Call Me Nin Fedora, GK Have It Your Way, Sabrina Balsiker, Sophia Loves Pigs, Farzan Jarabat, Melanie DeGrave, David Douglas, Matt Barger, Okamahime, Yimki Bony Pony, Jacob Rossitano, Kelsey Gillespie, Taka Blowfish, Rike Mango Jensen, Taylor Payne, Rachel Mobbs, Megan Moon, Alicia Chapman, Riley Kiddis, Colleen Waters, Laurel Happy, Rosanne Batamana, Erica Butler, Miranda Hurley, Landon Schwausch, Kendra Hertz, Natanya Page, Yogan Shanley, Darcy Alexandra Harrison, Richard Johnson, Sandra Rose, Craig Roberts, Andron Kaufman, K.A. Robb, Steve Trelaw, Leor Nachum, Angela Hill, Julia Buzak, Demi Lynn, Kelsey Wellis, Michael Beck, Callista Delano, she who doesn't have to be named, Elle Kringle, Lovekesh Longer, Jennifer Terzian, Crystal Pollard, Henrique Wolf, Jeremy Elmore, Delkis, Katrina Smith, Jerica Law, Michelle Spurgeon, Casey Canales, Megan Stempin, Let's Hit 1,000 Patrons, Serenity Allen, Jax G, Sophia Lyon, Sot, Matthew Babbitt, Dane Nemcher, Rochelle Unitmaz, Kirsty, Robin Garcia, Chick Parr, Mermaid and her Daddykins, Aaron Uggs, Not My Daughter, You Biatch, Ilaria Vicentin, Liam Simmons, Lori, Gregory Hughes, Christy Lee, Caw Mother Feathers, Nina Jazalik, Ribbon Monstrosity, Brittany Harper, Schulmanatrix, It's Definitely Ludo Bagman, Your Friendly Neighborhood Ravenclaw, Gavin Miller, Steamed Nuggets, and Can't I Potter? Web design by Kelly Schubert, and the music is by Bettina Campamanes. If you want to find us on social media, you can at facebook.com/Potterless, twitter.com/PotterlessPod, instagram.com/PotterlessPodcast, and reddit.com/r/Potterless. For any and all information about the show, you can go to PotterlessPodcast.com. For bonus content, you can go to patreon.com/Potterless, and for merch, you can go to PotterlessPodcast.com/merch. If you want to tell someone about the show, whether you know a Harry Potter nerd in your life that hasn't listened to the podcast yet, you go, hey, you should listen to the show, it's really good, I think you like it, or you leave a rating and review online, that would really help and I'd appreciate it. Thank you so much for listening, and until next time, as I say in the wizarding world of Harry Potter, wizard on!